I married my crush in a flash marriage. But after marriage, I suspect he's hiding something. Because he won't touch me. And he won't let me touch him. Until one day I discovered his secret. The man sitting across from me is my former crush. Back in the day, he was the school heartthrob, with girls lining up around the campus for him. How did he end up at a blind date like this? Xia Sangsang, female. Does he have doubts about my gender? My crush frowned, his gaze fixed on the information a matchmaker had sent him on his phone, and he drawled, "That name sounds familiar." I had planned to pretend we didn't know each other, but I whispered, "We went to the same school." "Oh." He suddenly remembered, raising an eyebrow. The one who cried until she fainted on the playground after failing to chase after Liu Yang. I swear, it was all a big misunderstanding. I don't know who spread the rumor that I liked Liu Yang, but during a long-distance running test in pay class that day, I started feeling dizzy after a few laps. That clueless Liu Yang even ran alongside me on the track, cheering me on, while the boys whistled and watched the show. I was so angry I started crying, just wanting to catch up to Liu Yang, and then twist his head off. Who knew I'd black out and faint? I was too weak to argue when I heard my crush ask, "How did you break up with him?" Too lazy to explain, I casually said, "He's my long-lost brother." My crush seemed amused but didn't press further. After a few seconds of silence, he asked, "Any objections to getting married today?" "Huh. Not willing?" "It's not that I'm unwilling, it's just sudden." My crush stood up, glancing at me. "Let's go." I scrambled to my feet. Wait a minute." Under his slightly surprised gaze, I opened my phone's notes and nervously read aloud. "Do you have any siblings? Do you own a house? A car? Where do you work now? What's your monthly salary?" As his expression grew increasingly complicated, I awkwardly smiled. "This is the standard blind date procedure, my mom's orders." My crush raised an eyebrow. "Do I have to answer?" I stood up straight and shook my head. "I'm not as shallow as my mom. I only care about looks, even so. I actually got married to Qin Mu, it feels like a dream." As we stepped out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, my mom called, her tone pessimistic. "So? Did it not work out again?" I looked at the fresh red marriage certificate in my hand. "Mom, you have a son-in-law now." All right. Come back for dinner soon." "What? Son-in-law?" My mom's scream made my ears ring. I could only hear her yelling on the other end. "Dad, your daughter, who's pretty but useless, actually found a man." Embarrassed, I covered the phone and sneaked a glance at Qin Mu. He'd clearly heard, a faint smile curling at the corner of his mouth. "Your mother's assessment of you is quite accurate." I tried to save face. She was mainly trying to compliment my looks. Qin Mu gave a meaningful, "You're not entirely useless." My eyes lit up, eager to hear how he'd praise me. Qin Mu cleared his throat. "At least, being able to cry until you faint is a skill. Can we please stop bringing up my embarrassing past?" My mom was thrilled on the phone and told me to bring Qin Mu home for dinner. I asked Qin Mu uncertainly, "Are you coming?" Qin Mu was calm. "It's only right." I tried to prepare him. "My parents can be a bit much. They might ask you a lot of questions." "You don't think your husband can handle it?" "Husband?" Honestly, as a single woman who's never even been in a relationship, suddenly having a husband feels incredibly strange. But it also feels amazing. From now on, Qin Mu is my private property. Qin Mu bought a bunch of gifts when visiting my parents. Seeing our marriage certificates, my mom and dad were grinning from ear to ear. "Qin Mu, right? Such a nice name, fits you perfectly. And you're so handsome." My mom smiled as she sized Qin Mu up. I knew she'd start asking all sorts of questions next. "Qin Mu, what do you see in our Sangsang? Why does that tone feel a bit off?" I had a bad feeling. Qin Mu glanced at me lightly and replied politely, "She's good looking." Well, aside from her pretty face, she really doesn't have many merits. "Mom, is our mother-daughter bond really this fragile?" My mom held Qin Mu's hand and earnestly said, "Our Sangsang is getting older and has a lot of flaws. You'll have to be patient with her." "Mum," I frowned, the food in my mouth suddenly tasteless. "How can you talk about your own daughter like that?" Am I even your biological child? My mom shot me a look, annoyed by my noise, then turned back to Qin Mu with a smile. She's got a terrible temper too. If she ever throws a tantrum, don't indulge her. Just tell me, and I'll straighten her out. Qin Mu smiled faintly. Mother-in-law, a wife is meant to be cherished. If you hit her, I'd be heartbroken. Smooth talker. How does he manage to sound both cheesy and refreshing at the same time? My mom beamed with joy but glanced at me disdainfully. I didn't know what kind of luck you stumbled into to land such a good man. Well, I guess I just stumbled into him then. I muttered jealously. My mom smacked the back of my head. Watch your mouth. Since when is there such a handsome piece of that? Mum, you're the one who made me dumb by hitting me. You inherited that from your dad. My innocent dad suddenly dragged in. What does this have to do with me? The scene quickly devolved into chaos. Qin Mu watched our family of 3 bicker, a faint smile on his face. When my mom raised her hand to smack me again, he swiftly pulled me into his arms. My body stiffened, my cheeks instantly burning. He hugged me. If this were in the past, I wouldn't have dared to imagine it. His arm was around my shoulder, and I secretly pinched the firm muscles at his waist. Wow. So addictive. The feel of it was amazing. He noticed my wandering hand and looked down at me. Satisfied? I couldn't control my expression, grinning like an idiot. Not bad. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes, as if about to say something but holding back. After dinner, I quietly asked my mum, why didn't you ask more about his situation? My mum rolled her eyes. With a face like that, what more could you want? I was speechless. I don't know if my dad is really my dad, but my mom is definitely my biological mom. My mom wanted Qin Mu to stay the night, but he politely declined. I walked him downstairs. Standing under the streetlight, the atmosphere felt a bit ambiguous. After a moment, Qin Mu said, getting married was a bit rushed. Actually, there are some things I didn't tell you. What things? I don't own a house, a car, or have any savings. I'm also currently unemployed. I felt struck hard, my right eyelid twitching uncontrollably. I looked at the Mercedes-Benz behind him. Qin Mu glanced at it. Rented. I felt dizzy. Of course, a man with such great looks nearing 30, and still going on blind dates must have something off. I muttered, so, isn't this fraud? Qin Mu raised an eyebrow. Well then, should we get divorced tomorrow? Wide-eyed, I blurted out without thinking. Then wouldn't I be at a huge loss? Getting married and then divorced without even doing anything. Wouldn't that make me a divorced woman? My reaction seemed to please Qin Mu. He said calmly, well then, shall we make do? I sighed, glancing at him uneasily. Qin Mu, be honest with me, there's nothing wrong with your health, right? Qin Mu looked down at himself. What aspect are you referring to? I realized he might have misunderstood. I quickly clarified. I mean your liver, lungs and stuff, nothing wrong, right? Qin Mu thought for a moment, answering evasively. My kidneys are fine. I breathed a sigh of relief. Good. If we ever fall into poverty, we can at least sell a kidney. Remembering my mom's request, I asked him. The new year is in a few days. Should our families have a meal together? Qin Mu hung up an incoming call and looked up. They're not in the country. With the pandemic severe overseas, they can't come back. That couldn't be helped. I looked up at him. So, you'll be alone for New Year's? Yes. Then come celebrate with my family. That sounded weird. We're already married, but it feels like we're not that close. Well, we really aren't that close. Qin Mu confirmed. Is that okay? His question made me unsure. I think so. Qin Mu seemed in a good mood. All right. What I didn't expect was that Qin Mu moved his suitcase into my room the very next day. Flustered, I followed him into the room. We're sharing a bed already. Isn't that a bit rushed? Qin Mu shifted his gaze from my bed to my face. Your house only has 2 bedrooms. I can't exactly sleep in the living room during the New Year, right? That's true. Sangsang, you're the one who invited me to spend New Year's here. I assumed you'd thought about the accommodation. Ah, well, I was the one who was careless. Just as I was wrestling with this, my parents came home. Seeing Qin Mu, My mom's enthusiasm was almost unrecognizable. Mumu, Sangsang told me. Of course, spend New Year's with us. Oh, you brought your luggage. I pulled my mom aside and explained my dilemma. She frowned. Aren't you two classmates? Haven't you both liked each other for a long time? I thought you got married after serious consideration. I couldn't help asking, who told you all this? My mom pointed at Qin Mu, who was talking to my dad. Mumu told me. This Qin Mu. Is he after my Alipay Wabe credit, concocting all sorts of lies to trick me into marriage? My mom eyed us suspiciously. I mumbled, anyway, I'm not sleeping with him. He can make do with Dad for a few days. My mom thought for a moment. You're right. Let's wait until his parents return from abroad and you have your wedding. It was happily decided. But Qin Mu didn't seem too happy. Dragging his suitcase past me, he left an aura of resentment in his wake. The thought of Qin Mu being in my house kept me awake until the middle of the night. My mouth felt dry, and my mind was filled with less than pure thoughts. Quietly, I got up to get some warm water from the kitchen. Just as I reached the sofa area in the living room, I almost tripped over something. Squinting in the dim light, I saw the person sleeping on the sofa sit up. Qin Mu? Why are you sleeping here? I whispered. Qin Mu sighed helplessly. Uncle snores. The rhythm is too strong. I couldn't help but chuckle. Qin Mu had already stood up and walked over to me. The distinct masculine scent of him made me freeze instantly. The dead of night. Man and a woman alone. I held my breath, my gaze fixed on the slight rise and fall of his chest. My heartbeat raced faster and faster. Qin Mu asked in a low voice, "Why aren't you asleep yet?" I stammered. Thirsty. Getting some water. Qin Mu licked his lips. I'm a bit thirsty too. Bring me a glass. I nodded hastily and bolted into the kitchen like I was escaping. My hands trembling. I poured a glass of water and gulped it down. Then poured another one for him. When I turned around, Qin Mu was standing right behind me. Startled, the water in my hand spilled perfectly onto Qin Mu's pants. I'm sorry. I frantically tried to wipe it for him, but then my wrist was caught by Qin Mu. His voice was a bit hoarse and strained. Xia Sangsang, was that on purpose? I swear to heaven it wasn't. But given the scene, 2 buttons on Qin Mu's pajamas were undone. His honey-toned chest muscles faintly visible. The kitchen light was off, and the atmosphere was just right. I was indeed feeling a bit bewitched. To be honest, back in school, I wanted to sleep with him. Now, we're legally married. Even if I pounce on him right now, it's perfectly reasonable, right? But I'm a coward. The flirty lines I had in mind turned into, Qin Mu, button up your clothes properly. Qin Mu stared at my flushed face, pulled his pajamas open a bit more and raised an eyebrow. Like what you see. Do not look at what is improper. I averted my eyes, my voice trembling. No. Xia Sangsang. When he called my name, I shivered violently. He looked at me with a hint of a smirk. Are you lusting after my body? I stared wide-eyed. Absolutely not. But then Qin Mu leaned in closer, his voice seductive. Want to feel the 6-pack ABs? No. I wanted to slap myself. Why so quick to answer? Qin Mu stared at my blushing face. Really don't want to. My eyes sparkled, my hands itching to move, but I restrained myself and tentatively asked, Can I touch them? Well, if you insist, you can. Qin Mu gave a thin smile, looking crafty. If you pay? Huh. 100 per touch. He held up one finger. My face was full of question marks. Qin Mu guided my already extended hand back to my side and sighed as if helpless. You know, I'm short on money right now. I need to find ways to save up. This is also for our future happiness. You're making money off your own wife. I have to pay to touch my own husband. Is there no justice in this world? Qin Mu asked. Still want to touch? I replied with a polite smile. I have no money, only my life. Such an enticing scene, and he had to ruin it like that. Furious, I stomped hard on his foot. Thud. Going back to bed. But after that night, I started to feel that something was off about Qin Mu. For example, every time he got a text message, he would glance at me deliberately, as if afraid I'd see it. Sometimes he'd be out for hours, and when he came back, there'd be a woman's perfume scent on him, and each time it was a different fragrance. The most suspicious part: "Qin Mu, your clothes are dirty. Take them off to wash." I swear I was just being a dutiful wife, but Qin Mu looked at me with a straight face and said, "Taking off one piece, 500. Stripping completely, 1,000. I just wanted to curse. "Qin Mu, which movie do you want to watch?" I asked innocently, holding the remote. Qin Mu leaned back on the sofa, his gaze landing on me lightly. "Xia Sangsang, what exactly goes through your mind every day?" I was just utterly confused. What was I thinking? Qin Mu tossed the remote from my hand back onto the coffee table and crossed his long legs. "I can watch that kind of movie with you. 500 an hour. If there are follow-up services at least this much." He held up 5 fingers. "Wow. Quite valuable, huh?" Qin Mu is acting strange. Very strange. I decided to test my theory. While my parents were out, I changed into a very sexy nightgown. Qin Mu was scrolling through his phone on the living room sofa. I walked over in what I hoped was a model's stride. Qin Mu heard the movement and looked up. The next second, the water he was drinking sprayed all over the floor. I struck a pose I thought was particularly alluring. "What do you think of my nightgown?" Qin Mu took a tissue, wiped the water from his lips, and walked over to me. He stared at me intently with his deep-set eyes for 3 seconds. Then, he took off his own jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The sudden warmth made my heart flutter with heat. He respects me so much, yet I doubted him. My perspective was too narrow, woo-woo. My crush is so considerate, my crush is the handsomest. Just as I was moved to tears, Qin Mu said calmly, "Wearing so little, aren't you cold?" He glanced over me. "This nightgown doesn't suit you." I looked at him suspiciously. "What doesn't suit me?" Qin Mu gestured vaguely in front of my chest. "The size isn't right. The style isn't quite right either. The sexy style doesn't suit you. If you don't know how to speak, then don't speak." Qin Mu's phone rang. I defiantly shrugged off the jacket from my shoulders. He answered the call while bending down to pick up the jacket and put it back on me. I resisted stubbornly. He forcefully gripped my shoulder, and accidentally, my back slammed hard into his chest. He let out a muffled grunt. I heard a woman's voice from the phone. "Amu, what's wrong?" Qin Mu's voice came from above my head, sounding somewhat suppressed and hoarse. "It's nothing. Got scratched by my little wildcat." The woman laughed. "Since when did you get a cat?" Qin Mu chuckled softly. "Just recently." I listened to the entire exchange. The woman's voice was lovely, charming, and sweet. I could already imagine what a captivating woman she must be. Not like me, plain and simple. Finally, they arranged to meet at a bar. The woman ended with an ambiguous, "Be on time, or you know the consequences." Qin Mu obediently replied, "I'm done for. Finished. Over. The crush I married in a flash might have an inappropriate profession." Thinking this, I acted on impulse and followed him out. Qin Mu parked and went into the bar. I trailed him all the way. At the entrance to a private room, a woman came out to greet him. She hugged him and gave him a kiss on the cheek. The intimacy was clear. It felt like a sharp knife stabbed straight into my heart. Qin Mu followed the woman into the room. I peeked inside. There were several other women there, ranging from a beautiful woman in her 50s to a mature, sophisticated lady in her 30s. Each one looked very wealthy. For a moment, I didn't know whether to be angry, sad, or envious. "All right, I confess, I'm jealous. Is this the happiness of rich ladies? Is this the charm of my crush? But can Qin Mu even handle it all?" In my mind, he was still that clean, pure image, but seeing him like this now, waves of pain washed over my heart. What he did before I can't control, but now he's the other half on my marriage certificate. Thinking of this, I found courage from somewhere. With a push, I opened the door to the private room. Then, under the astonished gazes of everyone, I strode over to Qin Mu with all the bravado I could muster. Qin Mu probably didn't expect to see me here either. He froze for a few seconds before quickly standing up. Before he could speak, I raised my hand to stop any explanation. After a moment of dead silence, I bent down, grabbed a bottle of alcohol and declared, "Everyone, I'll finish this bottle first." Gulp, gulp, gulp. The room fell into even deeper silence. I'm usually very timid around strangers, let alone facing what were likely high society rich ladies and socialites. Were there dozens of burly bodyguards hidden here? Were those bodyguards armed? What would be the consequence of angering these women losing an arm or a leg? To be honest, in those few short seconds, I had already imagined hundreds of ways I could die. But today, I had to take Qin Mu away. I steeled myself with that resolve. The beautiful socialite looked at Qin Mu. "You know her?" Qin Mu nodded, hands in his pockets, shrugging somewhat helplessly. He didn't seem to plan to explain, even having a faint, almost imperceptible smile at the corner of his mouth. He looked down at me, eyebrow raised, as if waiting to see how I'd handle this. How could he still smile? The socialite walked over with interest. "Aren't you going to introduce her?" I'm his wife." Liquid courage. I puffed out my chest and glared, using an aggressive attitude to mask my terrified heart. Qin Mu's lips parted slightly, perhaps in shock. I pulled him over. "Everyone, I'm sorry, but Qin Mu can't stay with you today." The socialite paused for a long moment, then seemed to understand, raising an eyebrow with a smile. Her gaze swept over me up and down before settling on Qin Mu's face. In an instant, she transformed into a captivating beauty. She suddenly grabbed Qin Mu's collar, pulling him close, half of her body leaning into his arms. "Mu, your wife is so fierce. I'm scared." "That's too unfair. If you have the guts, come at me. Let go of Qin Mu." Angrily, I tugged on Qin Mu's arm, but the alcohol hit me. My legs went weak, and the next second, a strong arm wrapped around my waist. My vision started to double, and a wave of overwhelming grievance washed over me. Then I shamelessly started to cry. Qin Mu panicked instantly. Even the socialite beside him looked flustered, staring at me blankly. Qin Mu shot her a cold glare. "Look what you've done." The socialite stuck out her tongue, saying guiltily, "Just having a bit of fun." Hearing this, I yelled hoarsely, "Qin Mu is not a man you can just play around with." The socialite couldn't hold back a laugh, glancing at Qin Mu. "Where did you find this treasure of a wife?" A slight smile touched Qin Mu's lips. He picked me up in his arms. I was already starting to babble. "Don't worry. Whatever money you wasted tonight, I'll cover it all. I beg you, don't ruin Qin Mu, woo-woo." The socialite didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Little sister, maybe you shouldn't drink in the future." I snorted at her through my nose. "Who's your little sister? Do I have a rich sister like you?" I don't remember clearly how we left later. By the time we got home, I was half sober but still dizzy. My parents were already asleep. Since Qin Mu slept on the sofa that time because of my dad's snoring, he had been sleeping in the living room. Now, the house was quiet. He laid me on the bed and asked softly, "Do you want some water?" Does he even know how dangerous a lonely, intoxicated woman can be on a dark, windy night? Using such a sexy voice to talk to me, is he deliberately trying to seduce me? I felt awful in my heart and my stomach. I reached out, grabbed his collar, and slowly pulled him closer. Qin Mu resisted, his hands braced on either side of me. He'd rather accompany those women than touch me. Is that it? Biting my lip, I commanded him, "Qin Mu, kiss me." Qin Mu frowned, glanced back at the open door, and said in a low, unbearably sexy, hoarse voice, "Your parents are next door. They'll find out." I didn't listen, throwing a sulky tantrum. "You can be with so many women, like that, and you're afraid my parents will find out?" Qin Mu chuckled softly. "Like what?" "He's playing dumb." I asked him with drunken, blurry eyes, "Why do you do that kind of work? How badly do you need money?" Qin Mu seemed thoughtful, as if unsure how to tell me. I felt even more stifled. "Just tell me the truth. Did you marry me just because you're at that age? Looking for a backup plan? A way out for yourself? Is that it? You said your parents can't come back from abroad. But that's all lies, isn't it? You don't care about our marriage at all. Otherwise, you could have at least had a video call." Qin Mu's expression became increasingly inscrutable, as if he had many unspeakable difficulties. Tears welled up in my eyes. The more I thought, the more unwilling I felt. I hooked my arms around his neck and pulled him closer with force, hearing his suppressed, low sigh. Our breaths intertwined now, only a fraction of a millimeter apart. Qin Mu's voice was deep in his throat. Xia Sangsang, do you know what you're doing? I looked up at him. Of course I know. I'm exercising my rights as a wife right now. Qin Mu frowned. He tried to remove my hands, but I stubbornly held on. You're drunk. We'll talk when you're sober. I refuse. We struggled like this for a while until my phone in my pocket rang. It kept ringing incessantly. I answered impatiently. Who is it? Calling in the middle of the night. Have you no sense? An excited male voice came from the other end. Xia Sangsang. It's Liu Yang. I'm back. I'll be home in half an hour. Liu Yang? Holy crap. I sobered up instantly. Didn't that jerk say he wasn't coming back for New Year's? Liu Yang asked excitedly on the phone. Surprised? Shocked. I wasn't listening to what Liu Yang said next because I realized I was wrapped around Qin Mu in a very compromising position, and Qin Mu's deep, dark eyes were fixed intently on me, as if I were a cheating wife caught red-handed. Liu Yang chattered on the phone. I quickly hung up. I was sober now, and aware of shame. Flustered, I tried to scramble out of his embrace. But the next second, my waist was firmly locked in the man's arms. I froze, looking at Qin Mu in disbelief. The corner of his mouth lifted in a cold smirk. His impossibly handsome face drew closer to mine. Didn't you break up with him? I opened my mouth. Well, it's a long story. I can explain slowly. Qin Mu let out a soft laugh, his warm breath brushing against my ear. What you should be thinking about is how to explain our relationship to him, right? This is killing me. Even though I'm sober now, the alcohol can act up anytime, okay? If he keeps teasing me like this, I won't hold back. I pretended to push him away a couple of times. Qin Mu, let me go first. Just now, you were trying every way to pounce on me. Now that Liu Yang is coming, you want me to let you go. The danger in Qin Mu's eyes doubled. Xia Sangsang, you heartbreaker. How am I a heartbreaker? Indignant, I retorted. You're the heartbreaker. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes. How am I the heartbreaker? You do that kind of work. You're involved with so many women without clear boundaries. If you're not a heartbreaker, what are you? Then you marry me. But let your ex-boyfriend come to your house in the middle of the night. If you're not a heartbreaker, what are you? I told you a long time ago he's my brother. Once you break up, he becomes your brother. Xia Sangsang, you're not just a heartbreaker. You're a player, aren't you? You're the player. You're a sea turtle. I couldn't reason with him. My temper flared. I got up from him and started to climb off the bed, but Qin Mu seemed angrier than I was. He pulled me back. Then I lost my balance and fell onto the bed. Panic flashed in Qin Mu's eyes. He reached out to catch me, and ended up pinning me down instead. My face instantly burned. I stared unblinkingly at the face right above me. Qin Mu was also holding his breath, watching me. The atmosphere was scorching. I had many indecent thoughts about him, but time didn't permit. Liu Yang would be back in half an hour. I hate Liu Yang. I quickly turned my face away. You're crushing me. There was also a hint of panic in Qin Mu's eyes. He coughed restrainedly, preparing to get up, but the next second, he leaned back down. I looked at him nervously. Qin Mu asked in a low voice, "Do you still want me to kiss you?" I pressed my lips together, looking at him expectantly. Qin Mu leaned down closer. Ah, Sangsang. That brat Liu Yang is back. My mom hurried over from the next room, then froze completely in the doorway. A few seconds later, my mom shyly covered her face and turned away. Oh my, why didn't you close the door? You young people really have no shame. As she said this, she thoughtfully closed the door for us. My heart was a whirl of emotions. Mum, let me explain. Qin Mu didn't look much better either. We glanced at each other, then awkwardly averted our eyes. Qin Mu got up off me. After sitting for a moment, I tried to break the awkward atmosphere and explain to him. Liu Yang really is my brother. A brother with a different surname? We grew up together. His parents passed away in a car accident during our high school years. Seeing him pitiful, my parents later let him live with us. He's a few months older than me, so he's like my brother. I still remember how heartbroken Liu Yang was back then. He didn't have many relatives and no one was willing to take him in. That day, in the pouring rain, he stood soaked at our doorstep. He didn't say a word, but his eyes were full of pleading. My parents couldn't bear it, so they took him in. Later, I went to university in Suzhou, and he chose a university there too. After graduation, a very good company offered him a position, so he packed his bags and went to Shanghai. As for me, I stayed in Suzhou, working as a designer in a small company. After I finished speaking, Qin Mu was silent for a long time. Then he asked me, "Do you like him?" I shook my head vigorously. "I don't like him." Qin Mu seemed to not believe my words at all, but he didn't say anything. I was just about to tell him, "I like you," when, outside the door, a booming voice rang out. "Mom, I'm back." It was Liu Yang. As soon as the words were spoken, my door was pushed open with a bang. Liu Yang spread his arms wide and yelled, "Xia Sangsang, come give me a hug." The next second he froze. Liu Yang blinked, then rubbed his eyes hard. "Qin Mu?" His expression was one of utter shock. Qin Mu, on the other hand, was quite composed. He stood up, giving Liu Yang a cold glance out of the corner of his eye. Maybe it was my imagination, but the air felt sharp. What's going on here? Liu Yang seemed unable to process the scene. I was just about to give him a brief explanation when Qin Mu already said languidly, "Sangsang and I have registered our marriage." Impossible! Liu Yang rushed up to me, wanting to hear a different explanation from my mouth. But just as his hand was about to touch my shoulder, Qin Mu pulled me away. Qin Mu's brow tightened slightly. "She's a married woman now. Mind your manners." The atmosphere was way too tense. I looked between the two of them, unsure where to jump in. Thankfully, my mom came in. "Liu Yang, have you eaten? Are you hungry?" Liu Yang glared at Qin Mu. "I'm too angry to be hungry." My mom was clueless. "Who made you angry?" "Liu Yang. An outsider." "There are no outsiders here." "Oh, by the way, Sangsang got married." My mom, super excited, pulled Liu Yang aside to chat. "His name is Qin Mu. You were at the same school before. You should know him, right?" Liu Yang was still glaring at Qin Mu, gritting his teeth. "Ma'am, is this the good news you said you had to tell me?" My mom nodded eagerly. "Isn't it wonderful news?" Liu Yang looked like he was about to spit blood, his eyes reddening. "For others, it's good news. For me, it's a funeral." My mom looked utterly confused. Liu Yang left, his back a picture of despair. He immediately spotted the bedding on the sofa. The next second, like a wronged child, he asked, "Who's been sleeping in my spot?" My mom pointed at Qin Mu. Liu Yang continued to glare at Qin Mu, like a child fighting for favor. "That's mine." Qin Mu raised an eyebrow. He slowly walked over, and under Liu Yang's furious gaze, casually folded up the bedding and picked it up. He glanced at Liu Yang. "You can have it. I'll go sleep in the room." I was stunned. "Wait, what room does he have?" With the air of a victor, Qin Mu headed towards my room. Liu Yang was so angry he looked like a pufferfish. "No way. You're not allowed in Sangsang's room." Liu Yang charged over and snatched the bedding from Qin Mu's arms. Then, in a shameless tone, he said, "I'm scared of the dark. You sleep with me." I was speechless. "My dad, Zhao Yang, since when are you scared of the dark?" Liu Yang lifted his chin high. "Got scared while I was away these past few years." My face was full of question marks, huh? Next, Liu Yang proceeded to vividly spin a bloody ghost story. Even I knew he was making it up. But my dad was naive. He asked worriedly, "Then what should we do?" Liu Yang pointed at Qin Mu. "I want him to sleep with me." Qin Mu lowered his eyes. "No." Liu Yang acted spoiled. "I insist you sleep with me. I'm your elder brother-in-law, the senior." You have to listen to me. Qin Mu's expression was expressionless, but I think he wanted to kill someone. Under our collective gaze, Qin Mu revealed a cold smile that didn't reach his eyes. Fine, I'll keep you company. That night, the living room was never quiet. There were constant rustling noises and one suppressed, "Damn it," after another. Strange images started popping into my head. The next day, I got up with dark circles under my eyes. My mom was making breakfast in the kitchen. My dad was reading the newspaper on the sofa. Qin Mu was refreshed and drinking morning tea. As for Liu Yang, he looked like a bullied young wife who'd had a rough night, listless and frowning. "Xia Sangsang, you're such a pig. Why did you just get up?" Liu Yang limped over. I rolled my eyes at him. "You think I wanted to have insomnia?" Liu Yang wasn't listening to me at all. He grinned and slung an arm over my shoulder. "Let's go out and have fun today. I haven't been back in so long. Let's go have a big meal." I was just about to refuse when I felt a pair of icy eyes on me. I looked over. Qin Mu's eyes were full of warning. I silently removed Liu Yang's arm. Liu Yang noticed, and defiantly, put his arm back around my shoulder, even challenging Qin Mu with a raised chin. "I've always put my arm around Sangsang like this. Who cares if I'm her brother? I have the right." Qin Mu remained impassive. He poured the morning tea into Liu Yang's favorite cartoon print milk mug. "Damn it." Liu Yang stomped over, his whole body bristling. "Qin Mu, I'll fight you." I quickly rushed over to stop the impending violence. "Liu Yang, calm down." Liu Yang couldn't calm down. He started it. "You know I have OCD." "Yes, OCD is a pain, no wait." Qin Mu was in the wrong. I turned to Qin Mu pleadingly. Apologized to him. Qin Mu stood up, lightly shaking out his clothes, a coldly disdainful look in his eyes. "Sorry." My hand slipped. "See? What kind of attitude is that? Is that how you apologize?" Xia Sangsang, move. It seemed things were about to get out of hand. My mom poked her head out from the kitchen. "What are you all making such a racket about? Keep it down. You'll disturb the neighbors." Liu Yang tattled to my mom. "Mom, Qin Mu used my favorite mug." My mom glanced over, completely unfazed. "Mom will buy you another one." Liu Yang was aggrieved. "I want this one." My mum, "You're the elder brother-in-law. Given a little to your brother-in-law." Qin Mu drifted past him. "Just bear with it, elder brother-in-law." Back in school, Liu Yang and Qin Mu had been like fire and water. On the basketball court, it was always a fight to the death. I suspect it started because once I wanted to give Qin Mu a bottle of water, but Qin Mu's basketball nearly hit me by accident. That incident really set Liu Yang off. Liu Yang has always been extremely protective of me since childhood. If someone bullied me, he'd risk his life to get even for me. Our relationship is closer than real siblings. Although most of the time, I want to twist his head off. After breakfast, Liu Yang hurriedly dragged me out to the mall. I was distracted the whole time. Qin Mu had gone out earlier, looking a bit preoccupied. Remembering the scene at the bar last night, my chest felt tight and uncomfortable. He probably went to clean up last night's mess, right? I was starting to reconsider my marriage to him. "Little sis, what do you think of this outfit? Does it look good?" Liu Yang has always been energetic. By now, he seemed to have completely forgotten his exhaustion from the morning, acting like a wild dog off its leash. I glanced at it. "It's okay. Go try it on." Liu Yang pushed me into the fitting room and shoved the clothes at me. I looked at the price tag and pushed it back. "Too expensive." "It's fine. Your big brother will buy it for you." "Did you strike it rich? Your big brother made quite a bit of money these past few years, okay?" Liu Yang smiled with narrowed eyes. "It won't be long before I can buy you a 200 square meter apartment in the city center. We'll decorate it in the rustic style you like." We both froze at the same time. I snapped out of it. "Use the money you earn to buy yourself a house and a car. Save the rest for a wife." I didn't plan to try on the outfit. Liu Yang followed closely behind me, forcing a smile. "You're my sister. Buying you an apartment is only right. Didn't you always want a big house?" I casually browsed a few other items. "Liu Yang, you don't have to think about repaying my parents' kindness. Actually, they took care of you because they genuinely like you. They never expected anything in return." After I said that, Liu Yang didn't respond for a long time. I looked up in surprise and saw his eyes were red again. What's wrong? Nothing. Liu Yang blinked away the moisture in his eyes, asking casually, how did you and Qin Mu end up getting married? Mentioning Qin Mu made my heart feel messy again. I forced myself to stay calm. We just happened to meet at a blind date. Fate, I guess. Liu Yang bit his lip. I'm going to the restroom. With that, he turned and walked away, his back view looking rather pathetic. To be honest, I really felt for Liu Yang. Even though he seems irresponsible on the surface, he remembers every bit of kindness shown to him clearly, and even wants to repay it many times over. Are you Xia Sangsang? Someone called from behind me. I turned around to see a beautiful woman looking down at me with a superior air. Seeing I didn't recognize her, she curled her lip mockingly. I'm Su Rong. Su Rong. The school bell back then. I heard she and Qin Mu were childhood sweethearts, promised to each other since they were in the womb. But I wasn't actually close to her. We never even spoke. The only time we had close contact was when I accidentally saw her and Qin Mu being intimate in the grove. We exchanged one look. I forced a smile. What a coincidence. Su Rong got straight to the point. No coincidence. I came specifically looking for you. I was puzzled. How did you know I was here? I had a feeling she wasn't coming with good intentions. Su Rong waved her phone. Liu Yang posted his location on his social media. Her every smile and frown exuded arrogance. To put it bluntly, she radiated disdain for others. I asked calmly, what do you want with me? Her gaze was icy as she looked at me. I heard you and Qin Mu got married, so she was here for Qin Mu. Now, I'm Qin Mu's rightful spouse. What do I have to fear from her? Besides, I'm already starting to reassess my relationship with Qin Mu. I'm even less afraid. If she's here to pick a fight, she's just walking right into it. I was already beyond unhappy to begin with. I came to thank you. Su Rong's words threw me off completely. Su Rong let out a cold laugh. You really solved a huge headache for me. What do you mean? I was utterly baffled. If you hadn't married Qin Mu in another month, I would have had to marry him. Forgive my stupidity, but I didn't quite understand what she was trying to say. Su Rong gave me a sidelong glance, also seeming to think I wasn't very bright. I didn't want to marry him at all. I was shocked. You don't like Qin Mu anymore? Su Rong scoffed. Who likes him? Ice cold, can't squeeze a word out half the time. He truly has no interesting soul. Qin Mu was being looked down upon. I was starting to believe she really came to thank me. But Su Rong's next sentence was, where's Liu Yang? Liu Yang? I pointed not far away. Liu Yang was striding over, staggering slightly. He pulled Su Rong away with a dark expression. Then he stepped in front of me, shielding me. Su Rong, what do you want? Su Rong glared at him with her delicate brows and eyes, then raised a perfectly standard, cold smile, looking exactly like a stereotypical female villain. Xia Sangsang stole my man. I came to teach her a lesson. What's the problem? You try laying a finger on her. Liu Yang's face was menacing. Being so harsh to a girl, no wonder he can't find a girlfriend. I tugged on his arm, wanting to tell him Su Rong wasn't bullying me, but Su Rong seemed to be deliberately picking a fight with him. Su Rong playfully twirled a button on Liu Yang's shirt with her fingertip, deliberately looking at him with alluring, silky eyes. She stole my man. How about you give in to me instead? Let's get revenge on them together. What do you think? Liu Yang slapped her hand away. Please don't touch me. Su Rong teased him on purpose. I did touch you. What are you going to do about it? Liu Yang was really angry now, glaring furiously at Su Rong. Su Rong rolled her eyes, became a bit more serious, and glanced at me. I'm not the type who likes to owe others. Since you helped me, I'll tell you something too. Su Rong said the whole promised in the womb thing was ridiculous. No different from human trafficking or forcing someone into prostitution. Su Rong said that time she was with Qin Mu in the grove was just them laying their cards on the table. She said she didn't think much of Qin Mu, and Qin Mu said he particularly disliked girls like her. Su Rong, being so proud and confident, couldn't accept that and asked him right then, Then what kind do you like? Gentle? Cute? Some seductive little minx? Apparently, Qin Mu replied indifferently with 3 words. Xia Sangsang. Apparently Su Rong cursed at the time, naming a type of plant. Su Rong's words left me unsettled for a long time. On the way back, I fell into deep thought. How could Qin Mu possibly like me? We never even spoke. Our few eye contacts were only brief moments. Liu Yang was quiet beside me for a long time before finally speaking up with difficulty. Actually, there's something I hid from you. I looked at him in surprise. Liu Yang scratched the back of his head, blushing as he said, "The rumor that you liked me. I started it." He didn't dare look me in the eye and continued. "Do you remember that basketball game? When you were going to give him water?" "Of course I remember," Liu Yang said. "After that game, I heard him ask his teammate your name. I deliberately said you were my girlfriend. Later, the rumor just spread. After all this time, I was quite angry. Why did you make that up?" Liu Yang opened his mouth. The words swallowed back. When he spoke again, it was in his thoroughly irritating tone. "I'm your brother. How could I allow you to have a puppy love? Besides, he had a fiancé. If you got involved with him, wouldn't you be drowned in gossip?" That makes sense. It does make sense. But Liu Yang, I still want to hit you. I took off after him. Liu Yang ran while begging for mercy, and I raged helplessly. "Liu Yang, I'll kill you." When we got home, Qin Mu still hadn't returned. I texted Qin Mu. "When are you coming back? Is everything settled? I waited a long time." No reply. I sent another one. "I have 30,000 in savings. Is it enough to solve your trouble?" Waited a long time again. Still no reply. I grew more and more panicked. Tears welled up in my eyes. I sent him a voice message. "Qin Mu, are you busy? Busy repaying debts on someone else's bed?" Otherwise, how could he not even have time to reply to a message? This time, he replied, "Little sister, remember me?" The big sister from the bar. My pupils dilated in shock. While my hands were trembling, the other side sent another message. "Don't remember? Didn't you say you'd cover whatever money was spent? Forgot?" I replied shakily, "I'll pay whatever it is. Please don't make things difficult for Qin Mu." The other side replied, "How much do you think he's worth?" I thought about the amount in my bank account and replied cautiously, 10,000? Silence from the other side. 20,000? Continued silence. 30,000. Can't go higher. The other side sent a big laughing emoji, followed quickly by a voice message, sounding much more serious now. "Little sister, I can't make that decision. Wait for Qin Mu to tell you himself." I quickly replied, "Where is he?" "Him? He probably won't be out for a while." I immediately called the voice line, but no one answered anymore. I tried several more calls in a row. No response. I waited anxiously until late at night, finally receiving a call from Qin Mu. "Hello." I answered immediately. Qin Mu asked on the phone, "Are you asleep?" How could I possibly sleep? Qin Mu asked again. "Then, is it convenient for you to come downstairs?" Huh? What does that mean? I quickly leaned over the windowsill to look. I saw Qin Mu standing downstairs, also looking up in my direction. All the sadness I felt earlier vanished instantly upon seeing him. I scrambled to put on some clothes. "Give me 2 minutes." I hurried downstairs and ran towards Qin Mu. Just as I was about to throw myself into his arms, a head popped out from the car behind him. The socialite from the bar? I stopped in my tracks, shocked. I looked at the socialite, then at Qin Mu. Why did he bring a client here? My first thought was debt collection. I immediately felt timid. It wasn't that I was worried about the 30,000. I was afraid I'd be left destitute and drowning in debt. "Let me introduce." "Hello, little sister." The socialite was already out of the car. She threw an arm around Qin Mu's neck. Qin Mu was forced to bend over, frowning unhappily as he glanced at her. Right in front of me, being so intimate. Qin Mu's frown deepened. "Let go." The socialite held on tighter. "I won't." "Is this your attitude towards clients?" "I won't request you next time." I saw Qin Mu exhale in exasperation, then ruthlessly shoved her arm away. The socialite's expression changed dramatically. "Qin Mu, I'm your sister. Could you show some basic respect? Sister? What kind of sister? I stood by observing, not daring to make a sound, afraid this sister would notice my presence. Qin Mu lost his patience. Just explain and then leave. The socialite lost interest in the game too. She came over, smiling, and took my hand. Little sister, why did you choose such a hard road? What does she mean? A man like Qin Mu, I wouldn't take him even if he were given to me. Only you young girls treat him like a treasure. That's not true. Qin Mu is quite nice. I almost instinctively defended Qin Mu, but immediately regretted it. Why was I discussing a professional with a client? And this person is my husband. This is utterly ridiculous. The socialite clicked her tongue, showing an admiring expression, then said, Well then, I'll entrust my brother to you. It's fine. Hit him. Scold him however you like. He's thick-skinned. Your brother? Yep. My biological brother. Don't we look alike? Biological siblings. I was dumbfounded. The socialite introduced herself. I'm Qin Shi, Qin Mu's most esteemed sister. Sister, nice to meet you. The words almost slipped out on their own. Then I awkwardly lowered my head. What a mess. Qin Shi laughed heartily. Nice to meet you, sister-in-law. Sister-in-law is truly a treasure. I stole a glance at Qin Mu. This is awkward. Help me. Qin Mu suppressed a faint smile, stuffed Qin Shi into the car, and slammed the door shut. Get lost. Qin Shi started the car, shot him a glare, then smiled at me. Sister-in-law, if you want a divorce, remember to come find me. My boyfriend is the best lawyer in the country. I guarantee we'll leave Qin Mu penniless. Ah. This? Are they really biological siblings? After Qin Shi left, Qin Mu and I stared at each other, not knowing where to start for a long time. Qin Mu spoke first. I'm not a gigolo. I know that now. The people in the private room were family relatives. My family is big, and most of them are women. Oh. The messages you sent me, I saw them. Qin Mu wore a faint smile. Following my gaze, his tone mixed with a bit of teasing. 30,000? That's all I'm worth. I explained a bit anxiously. That's all I have. Oh. Qin Mu stared at me for a moment, murmuring to himself. Then I'm actually quite valuable. I pouted a little unhappily. Why did you lie to me, saying you had no house, no car, no savings, when your sister is obviously loaded? Qin Mu looked down at me, his tone lazy. Wasn't it just to latch onto you? My eyes widened in surprise. After saying it himself, Qin Mu also seemed a bit embarrassed. He coughed lightly, turned his gaze away for a moment of silence, then looked back at me and said, I can't spend New Year's with you. Oh. Aren't you going to ask why? I was waiting for him to tell me himself. Qin Mu moved closer, his voice low and soft. I'm flying abroad to see my parents. They know about you now. They video called me for hours today, asking all sorts of questions. I need to explain to them in person that marrying Su Rong is impossible. After I sort this out, I'll take you to meet them. Okay? I nodded gently. His chin almost touched my forehead. I didn't dare look into his eyes, but I could hear his heartbeat. I believe he could hear mine too. After a long while, Qin Mu kissed my hair. A tingling sensation shot from the top of my head down to my limbs. Neither of us spoke, but the deeper the silence, the more it highlighted the turbulent waves inside our hearts. On New Year's Eve, I didn't receive any message from Qin Mu. On the first day of the new year, still no message from Qin Mu. I waited until midnight and sent Qin Mu a message. Happy New Year. No reply. I hesitated for a long time before calling him. The call didn't go through. That's when I realized, if Qin Mu disappeared, I seemed to have no way of finding him. Seeing me so down, Lu Yang took the initiative to call Su Rong. Strangely, her phone didn't go through either. My heart was in turmoil. I waited until the 10th day of the Lunar New Year. My company was urging me to return to work. I went back to Suzhou. The day before Valentine's Day, some classmates from Suzhou contacted me, saying they wanted to have a gathering and asked me to bring my boyfriend. No one knew about my marriage to Qin Mu. I declined, using the excuse that I didn't have a boyfriend. But I couldn't withstand their persistence, so I went. I shouldn't have come. I expected them to flaunt their relationships. But I didn't expect them to be so heartless. They were all in pairs, leaving only me drinking alone, getting drunk. My alcohol tolerance is really not good, but today was strange. I drank 2 bottles in a row and was still sober. My mind filled with thoughts of Qin Mu. Sangsang, why did you and Liu Yang break up? I heard Liu Yang is single now. Why don't you two just get back together? Or how about I introduce someone to you? Your sister here has plenty of connections. What kind do you like? Mature and stable? Sunny and handsome? Or a muscular hunk? I like Qin Mu. Hey, that's why I say, the prettier the woman, the rockier her love life. Remember Suzhou? That school belle. Of course I remember. If not for her, our Xia Sangsang would have been the school belle. What about her? She's got a good fate. Promised to marry the school heartthrob since they were in the womb. A friend abroad told me they're having their wedding tomorrow. My tears started falling. Plop. Plop. The wine in my mouth became unbearably bitter. I was still waiting for him. But he was about to have a wedding with his childhood sweetheart. I couldn't stay a moment longer. I got up to leave. A classmate kindly asked, Sangsang, are you drunk? Need us to see you home? No, I'll take a taxi. They insisted on walking me downstairs. Let us take you. Being alone is pitiful, and we're worried. I was about to refuse when a black Audi screeched to a halt in front of me. When I clearly saw the man's face, my tears poured out uncontrollably. Under the shocked gazes of everyone, Qin Mu strode over to me. My vision blurred, and waves of grievance overwhelmed my heart. Qin Mu looked at me quietly. In those brief seconds of eye contact, we both had a lot to say. I stubbornly wiped my tears and averted my gaze. Qin Mu's voice was very soft, very gentle. You've been drinking? His tone seemed to carry a hint of apology and heartache. I nodded sullenly, not planning to acknowledge him or look at him. Qin Mu was silent again for a moment until someone next to us tentatively asked, Qin Mu, you too? Qin Mu looked over, probably not in the mood for pleasantries. His tone was quite distant, but his words were clear and firm. We're married. Unsurprisingly, there was a collective gasp. Hearing the word, married, a surge of irritation rose in me. I turned and walked away. So he still knows we're married. But how has he acted as a husband? Behind me, I heard the urgent sound of Qin Mu's footsteps chasing after me. He caught up with me not far away. I forcefully shook off his hand, turned around and said to him, Let's get a divorce. Qin Mu froze. He seemed surprised, yet also not entirely so. He stared at me without blinking for a long moment before saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I still refused to look at him. My face puffed up with anger. After a 5-second interval, Qin Mu's voice fell again. Did you miss me? I looked up at him indignantly. Yes, I did. So what? Is that a reason for you to treat me like this? Before my temper could erupt, Qin Mu said with a burning gaze, I missed you. My expression softened slightly, and my heart felt like it was being tickled by cotton. Qin Mu laughed at himself. Xia Sangsang, this is the first time in my life I've been this cheesy. As soon as his words fell, a head popped out from the Audi. It was Qin Shi. She yelled, joining the fun. That's it? Say something more exciting. Sis is willing to pay to listen. The classmates who had stayed to watch the commotion echoed loudly. Money's no object. Qin Mu gazed at me intently, as if pleading for my response. Sangsang. Qin Shi said that as soon as Qin Mu arrived abroad, he was put under house arrest. The Qin and Su families were well matched. He and Su Rong had been promised since the womb. Over the years, both sets of parents had long assumed they would eventually marry. But Qin Mu had to go and marry you, Xia Sangsang. It was simply an act of defiance. Both sets of parents had originally planned for Qin Mu and Su Rong to have the wedding abroad. Once it was a done deal, they would force Qin Mu to return and divorce you. But who knew Qin Mu would be so stubborn, refusing to yield even at the cost of his life? So, the first thing he did upon regaining his freedom was to fly back to find you. I took Qin Mu back to my place. The dead of night. A man and a woman alone. We stood in the living room in silence, neither daring to look the other in the eye. The quieter it was, the more the room's temperature seemed to rise. I asked him, "When did you start liking me?" He said, "The first time I saw you. That time on the basketball court." I said, "But I liked you first." Long before that time on the basketball court, I had liked him for a long time. Qin Mu said, "Are you talking about that time in the library, or the time on the snack street? Or maybe that time in the school cafeteria when you were in line and turned around to see me behind you?" He remembers them all. Qin Mu smiled faintly. "Xia Sangsang, who knows which one of us liked the other first? Then if you liked me, why didn't you tell me sooner? How was I supposed to know if you liked me? Back then, you and Liu Yang were so close. Until that time on the basketball court, I saw you bringing water for Liu Yang. I was jealous to death." "Ah? That water was meant for you." Qin Mu laughed self-deprecatingly. "I thought at the time, if only this girl were mine. But who knew you were already with Liu Yang?" My heart felt warm, happiness spreading boundlessly. I asked him again, "So you married me in a flash because you thought Liu Yang and I had broken up?" Qin Mu swallowed. Actually, I couldn't wait anymore." I looked up at him. Qin Mu also gazed steadily at me. "If I didn't make a move, I would have had to marry Su Rong. So when I accidentally heard you were going on blind dates, I tried every way to get myself a spot. I thought, rather than letting someone else marry you, it might as well be me." I slowly lowered my long lashes and curved my lips into a light smile. I stood on tiptoe, wanting to kiss his lips. Qin Mu almost instinctively leaned back a little. "Xia Sangsang, are you sober right now? Do you know what you're doing?" He thought I was drunk. I couldn't help but laugh. Deliberately pulling a few red bills from my wallet, I flung them at his chest, putting on the airs of a nouveau rich little madam. 500 per kiss. Is that enough? Qin Mu narrowed his eyes. Even though he knew I was teasing him on purpose, he was still somewhat displeased. His angry look was actually kind of cute. Taking advantage of his inattention, I planted a kiss on his lips. The furrow between Qin Mu's brows smoothed out. After a few dazed seconds, he looked like he'd gotten a taste of something sweet. He reached out, wrapped an arm around my waist, and leaned in to kiss me. I turned my face away, laughing so hard my whole body shook. "Sorry, I'm out of cash." Xia Sangsang. Qin Mu gritted his teeth, his breathing already ragged. His eyes warned me to stop playing around. I escaped from his embrace and ran all the way to the bedroom. Before closing the door, I stuck my neck out and said, "Wait until your granny here saves up enough money, then I'll come favor you again." But I underestimated the reach of Qin Mu's long legs. He braced a hand against the door, asking me with a pitiful look in his eyes, "Where do I sleep?" I pointed at the sofa. Qin Mu shook his head, his meaning clear. I shook my head too. "No way." Qin Mu pushed against the door. I braced my body against it. He pushed harder. I was almost at my limit, finally starting to panic a little. "Qin Mu, you started it." He pushed the door open, scooped me up in his arms, and strode purposefully toward the bed. I thought I was definitely done for tonight. And then a dramatic scene unfolded. As Qin Mu bent over, his strength seemed to fail him. I was tossed onto the bed and he ended up kneeling beside it. "Qin Mu, are you up to the task or not?" Qin Mu sat down with his back against the bedside, a fine sheen of warm sweat on his forehead, looking utterly miserable. Only then did I see the dense network of scars hidden beneath the collar of his shirt. I pulled his collar open and was utterly stunned. What is this? His back was covered in wounds. They hadn't even healed yet. The crimson gashes a shocking sight. Qin Mu pulled his shirt back, saying with an air of nonchalance, "Just minor injuries." I later asked Qin Shi, and found out these wounds were punishment inflicted by Su Rong's parents in a fit of rage, when Qin Mu went to the Su family to apologize. I gently kissed his scars. Tears fell onto his wounds. Qin Mu turned and held me. "I didn't get together with you to make you cry. Qin Mu, take me." Qin Mu stayed in Suzhou for me. He started a company from scratch. From just him at the beginning, it slowly grew to around 30 people, gradually getting on the right track. During the day, we could hardly see each other. At night, when we finally met, he was busy working overtime in the study. Every time, I had to struggle internally for a long time before lightly knocking on the door. "Come in." Hearing his voice, I'd poke my head in and ask in a soft, sweet voice, "Are you done yet?" Qin Mu would stop his work, gesture for me to come in, and I'd scamper over happily. Qin Mu would hold me, asking by my ear, "Why aren't you asleep yet?" Playing with his fingers, I'd say petulantly, "I'm scared of the dark. I can't sleep alone." Qin Mu chuckled softly. Naturally, he knew I was lying, but he played along. "Then wait for your husband for 10 minutes. After I finish this bit of work, I'll come keep you company." I nodded eagerly. Then I went back to the room, satisfied. 10 minutes later, Qin Mu returned to the room right on time. He hadn't even had time to shower yet. The sleeves of his white shirt were casually rolled up twice. He sat by the bed, gently toying with my hair. "Sleep. I'll go shower after you fall asleep." "So we're really just going to sleep?" I was so disappointed. Couldn't he see my newly bought camisole? "Isn't it sexy? Isn't it alluring?" I hummed and whined, pulling his hand. The meaning in my eyes couldn't have been clearer. But Qin Mu still played dumb, just smiling without moving. Angry, I pulled out a few red bills and slapped them into his palm. Qin Mu raised an eyebrow. "This is only enough to take off the top." "You're so expensive," I muttered, slapping all my cash onto his chest, then pouncing on him like a hungry wolf. Who knew? He remained unmoved, even taunting by my ear. "That's a separate price." "Too much." I flailed like a little wildcat. Qin Mu let me fuss, then stuffed me under the covers. Then he planted a kiss on my forehead, his voice hoarse. "In a few days, I'll definitely let you have your fun." Blushing, I burrowed under the covers. Then, in the middle of the night, my period arrived. Turns out, he remembered the dates. We became the talk of the class group chat. Everyone clamoring for Qin Mu to treat everyone to a meal. That day, Liu Yang and Su Rong came too. Liu Yang got himself drunk, clinging to Qin Mu and spouting a lot of nonsense. "If you bully Sangsang, I won't let you off. Sangsang has a sensitive stomach. You absolutely mustn't let her eat spicy food." At first, it was just an older brother's concern for his little sister, but then it started to veer off course. As for Xia Sangsang, she has so many bad habits. She kicks off the covers in her sleep, eats cold stuff even during her period, doesn't wear makeup, doesn't dress up, doesn't go shopping, doesn't even seem like a girl. I couldn't listen anymore, gritting my teeth to retort, "And you're so great, living every day like a cucumber." Liu Yang, bleary-eyed with drunkenness. "What do you mean?" Asking for a beating. Later, Liu Yang was dragged away by Su Rong. He cried all the way as he walked. Su Rong frowned and yelled, "Can you shut up?" Liu Yang let out a drunken hiccup, then cried even more miserably. In front of everyone, Su Rong fiercely kissed him. Liu Yang shut up. He seemed to sober up a bit too. Su Rong wiped her mouth boldly, though the tips of her ears were red, and said, "You forced me into this." The crowd erupted. "Get together! Get together! Get together!" Amidst the clamor, Qin Mu dragged me away. "Wait, let me watch a bit more." I wanted to see the commotion too. Qin Mu looked displeased. "What's so good about it?" I turned back excitedly, watching. "Do you think Liu Yang will kiss Su Rong?" Qin Mu narrowed his eyes, lifting my chin with his fingers. His tone was full of danger. "Guess, will I kiss you?" He kissed me. My legs went weak, my entire being sinking into his tenderness. Extra story. A bowl of bitter melon soup after Qin Mu's company got on track. My ever-worrying mother finally couldn't hold back anymore. She rushed overnight from our hometown to Suzhou, under the beautiful pretext of seeing how her daughter and son-in-law are living. Her actual goal was a surprise inspection of the baby-making progress. The doorbell rang while I was draped over Qin Mu's back, directing him to make juice for me. Qin Mu wore an expression that said, "I spoiled her, and I'm happy about it," moving around the kitchen with me, his giant human backpack. The door opened. My mom, laden with big and small bags, her gaze sharp as a torch, first swept between Qin Mu and me, finally settling on the scene of Qin Mu carrying me on his back. A flower instantly bloomed on her face. Aya, your relationship is so good. The next second, that flower wilted. She stared at me. Xia Sangsang. How old are you still getting piggyback rides? Get down right now. Mu must be tired from work. I slid down sheepishly, but Qin Mu naturally wrapped an arm around my waist, smiling. Mom, it's no trouble. Sangsang is light. Only then did my mom smile again, squeezing into the apartment to showcase her motherly love, a large bag of hometown specialties and a thermal flask of dark, murky soup. What's this? I had a bad feeling. Bitter melon and pork rib soup. Clears heat, reduces internal fire, boosts energy, supplements. You know, that. My mom's eyes darted around, glancing meaningfully at Qin Mu. Mu, no matter how busy work is, you must pay attention to your health. Some things need moderation, but also must. Well, you understand, right? Theft. The water I'd just drunk almost sprayed out. The tips of Qin Mu's ears reddened at a visible speed, though he had to maintain composure on his face. Thank you, Mom. I'm quite healthy. Healthy means you should supplement even more. My mom, brooking no argument, ladled out 2 big bowls. Drink it all. Not a drop left. That bowl of soup tasted like a biochemical weapon. The astringency of the bitter melon mixed with the weird smell of some suspicious medicinal herbs, assaulting the senses. Pinching my nose, I threw a pleading look at Qin Mu. Qin Mu took a deep breath, picked up the bowl and gulped it down as if marching to his death. Then, without changing expression, he took my bowl and, under the astonished gazes of my mom and me, downed it in one go as well. Mom, Sangsang, is afraid of bitterness. I'll drink it for her. His voice was steady, if one ignored his subtly clenched fist and the slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. My mom stared, dumbfounded, then broke into a wide, toothy grin. Good son-in-law. Knows how to dote on his wife. She then turned to scold me. Look at Mu. You're just too spoiled. That night, I was awakened by movement beside me. Qin Mu was frowning slightly, his hairline damp with sweat, seeming uncomfortable. What's wrong? I asked nervously. Nothing, he said, eyes closed, voice a bit hoarse. Mom's soup is a bit too potent. I understood instantly, feeling both heartache and the urge to laugh. I reached out to feel his forehead. It was a bit warm. Do you need to go to the hospital? He caught my hand, pressing it against his burning cheek. In the darkness, his eyes shone startlingly bright. The hospital won't help. He leaned closer, his breath scalding, carrying the lingering strange scent of the bitter melon soup. Dr. Xia, you need to take responsibility for putting out the fire. Later, I had a serious phone call with my mom. The main point was, please cease all delivery of 10 full complete tonic soups. Your son-in-law is really, truly very healthy. My mom tutted on the other end of the line. All right then. Seems like the supplementation hit the mark. A few more months passed. One weekend morning, Qin Mu was in the kitchen preparing breakfast. Sleepy-eyed, I walked over, hugged him from behind, and rested my chin on his shoulder. The egg sizzled in the pan. Sunlight streamed through the window, falling on his focused profile. My heart was suddenly filled with a sense of fullness, a warm, radiant emotion. Qin Mu. Nothing. I buried my face in his back, saying muffledly, I just suddenly feel. This is really good. He turned off the stove, turned around and pulled me into his arms. Lowering his head, he rubbed the tip of his nose against mine. Fine, gentle ripples of laughter spreading in the depths of his eyes. Yeah. He kissed my forehead, his voice low and certain. It will always be this good. Outside the window, the spring scenery was beautiful. And for us, there were long, promising days ahead. The end.